Hello students and welcome to the e-learning program initiated by Shri Gyanmanjari for the students of Standard 10, in which we are learning the subject of social science. Students, today we are going to start with chapter number 11, India, Water Resources. This is the third lecture, third chapter in Geography 8, 9, 10. We have already finished chapter number 8, Natural Resources, chapter number 9, and we just finished in the previous lecture chapter number 10, that is Agriculture. Now we are going to start with chapter number 11, that is Water Resources in our country, that is India. Let's start with an introduction. General introduction. We know India is a very vast, huge country, geographically having quite a strategic position in the Indian Ocean, because it's the only country that has peninsula extending quite inside Indian Ocean and having two big seas, the Arabian Sea on the western side and Bay of Bengal on the eastern side. So on three sides it's surrounded by water, and that is a very good sign, because the peninsula, which extends quite deep into the Indian Ocean, it's very helpful and makes us quite near the equator. So we get lots of rain, lots of heat, lots of humidity. It is all because we are quite near the equator. The southernmost tip of India is located at 8 degrees north. That means it is just 8 degrees above 0 degree, which is equator. So rain is not a problem in India, and we get plenty of rain, but the main thing is the irregularity of rain and uncertainty of rain. Both the things are quite different from each other, and that is why India faces lots of water scarcity. First point to be remembered is India geographically is quite a big country, where the southernmost tip is near the equator, whereas the northernmost tip falls in the temperate zone, mid-temperate zone, where snow falls. In between is the expanse of India, and because of this wide geographical location that we have, that makes different climate at different places depending upon the topography, forest, the heat zone it is located in, and that is why we have scarcity of water at some place, we have heavy rainfalls at some other point, and in between these places we have medium to average rainfall. So we do have lots of rain, but then what are the water resources of India? Because water is a daily need for drinking purpose, for domestic use, for industrial purpose, mainly for agriculture, because we need food, we grow food with the help of water. So irrigation. So this is what we are going to discuss in this particular chapter. Water is a natural as well as limited resource. Water is available everywhere on the earth, but the distribution of water is not equal. That means unequal distribution of water, and due to lots of factors, water becomes a limited resource in our country. It is not a limited resource everywhere. Water is required everywhere. depending upon the population, depending upon the need of the country, the way the country uses water. Some places water scarcity is not found. Some places in the world water scarcity is found at highest level. Such a huge water shortage is felt in some of the regions of the world. So water, it's a natural resource, but at the same time, in our country, it's a limited resource. No life on earth can be imagined without water. Life, as far as living things are considered, water is a natural part in the body of the living body. So water is the foremost requirement for growth and sustenance of the living thing. So we cannot imagine life without water. Even our own body, 60-70% of that, it's water. So we need water to live. Our body requires water to live. Continuous intake of water is required. For our food, we require water. We grow food in the fields with the help of water. We get fresh air, the oxygen which is liberated by the trees. They also need water. So life on earth is unimaginable without water. That is why there is no human settlement on the moon, because the very first requirement, that is water. We can still do without sunlight, we can still do without lots of things, but we cannot do without two things, that is air and water. So water, it's a natural as well as limited resource, plus living things cannot do without water. Entire biotic world uses water to sustain itself. That is what we just discussed, that in order to live, each and every biotic element which is living, it needs water for survival, sustenance, to continue with life. Just moment, जो moment water मिलना बंद हो गया, the same moment life decreases. So we would die and the world population will exhaust if water is not available for drinking. It's a very true fact that drinking water, if it is not available, not only us, animals, birds, plants, all of them, they will die, because water is the absolute necessity of each and every living thing. So entire world population will exhaust, will finish, will become over, complete, and you won't find a single human being, no living thing on earth, if water is not there. These are extreme points which we are talking, right? Water has no alternative. This is to be remembered and it should be underlined. Water has no alternative. Alternative means you do not have any other option for water. It's a small journey. Then if water is not available, then you would have some soft drinks, but that is on a temporary basis. We need water for sustenance. So water is our life, and life without water is not imaginable, and water does not have any substitute. Yes, you cannot keep on drinking soft drinks for your complete life, yes, because it also has water. No, water is required, and it is not having any substitute, it doesn't have any option, and it is used in very large quantity, that too for very large number of activities. We need lots and lots of water for carrying out various activities of our life. We directly or indirectly use water. For example, when you're thirsty, you drink water. That is your direct requirement. Yes, that is your direct use of water. But indirect use, You eat food that is prepared by water. You use paper which is prepared by using gallons and gallons of water. So directly or indirectly, we need a huge quantity of water for carrying out various activities of our life. The prosperity of every nation depends on its agriculture and amount of water it uses for it. This is also quite important. For example, we go to the Arabian countries, which is quite desertic, and uh, petrol, diesel petrol is quite cheap compared to one bottle of water, because the source of water, drinking water, is negligible over there. The source of water is not found. Source of crude oil or oil, petroleum, is available in plenty. So petroleum is quite cheap, whereas water is quite costly. It is a desertic area, so you cannot grow much agricultural products over there. But in countries like India, where we are growing a number of agricultural products that we just learned in chapter number 10, all those products, when they are growing, they need huge quantity of water. So the prosperity of every nation, because food is the main thing for survival. Water and food, these two things are the main things for survival. Air, water, food. Then comes clothing and housing and all that. It comes later. Health and education and all that comes later. But first thing we need is air, second is water, and third thing we require is food. So the intake that a country takes for the agricultural purpose, more intake it has, more water sources it has, then that country is more prosperous. From ancient time, that also we have learned in the geography section also, chapter number 8, 9 and 10. We have learned that in chapter 1 also, that India has been prosperous since the ancient times. In ancient times it was called Sone ki Chidiya. It was not called Sone ki Chidiya just for the purpose that it had lots of gold or money. No, India was prosperous. That means each and every person was prosperous, and each and every person in India was prosperous due to agriculture, because we had huge amount of water available for agriculture, and that made each and every person prosperous. And that is how a nation's wealth grows, because each and every person is prosperous, is happy. So India has a legacy of being a prosperous country because depends on agriculture, and it has lots of water to grow food. Water is also required for various other use. One of that use is drinking water. Another use is domestic use. We use it for, say, washing the vegetables, or for bathing, or for other cleaning the utensils, washing, mopping. We use then for giving water to the gardens, for washing the vehicles, or simply the front area of the house. For construction purpose, we use huge amount of water. So for all the domestic purposes, we need water. And industries, lots of industries are heavily dependent on water, and they need water at each and every step and process of their manufacturing. So water is required. Main requirement of water is drinking purpose, agricultural purpose, domestic purpose, and industrial purpose. Owing to all these reasons, we can say that if there is water, then there is life, then there is prosperity, so on. There are 3 sources of water only. Please understand this. There are only 3 sources of water First is rainwater, second one is surface water, and the third one is groundwater. Three sources of water. Please understand this properly. One is the rain that we get from the atmosphere, that is number one source of water. Then we have surface water, which is found on the surface, and the third source of water is under the ground. Water is available in the stored capacity, then that is called underground water, or simply it is called groundwater. Now let us learn these three sources of water one by one. Rainwater, please underline that in your material also. Rain is the original and primary source of water on earth. These are things to understand, because as far as objectives are considered, these are quite complicated matters. In spite of making the students understand thoroughly, still they keep on making mistakes in this type of objectives. Rain is the original, and it is very true. It is the original source of water on earth. Why? Why is that so? Because we say surface water. Then what is surface water? Water that is available on the surface of the earth, that is called surface water. Now that can be a lake, that can be a river, whatever, dam, etc. These are all surface water. What we can see, the water which we can see on the fresh water, that we can see on the surface of the water. Now where did this water come from? If I'm talking about lakes and ponds, that lake and pond would dry up if rain would not have come. So that surface water, for surface water also, rainwater is the original source of water. That makes surface water secondary and rainwater primary source. For underground water, पानी जमीन के नीचे कहाँ से आया? जब ऊपर गिरा तो it seeped into the ground, and because of the big layers of rock over there, it could penetrate no further, and that is why it stayed over there, making it underground water. Now that underground water would not have been there if surface water was not there, or rain did not fall on the surface. So for groundwater also, original source of water will be rainwater. That makes rainwater not only original, but it makes primary source of water on the earth. So two things: rain is the original source of water, rain is the primary source of water. That means the other two, surface water and groundwater, they will become secondary source of water. Okay. River, lakes, streams, well, etc. are considered secondary source. All these, they are secondary source of water. They can be found on the ground. That means on the ground, not below the ground. On the ground, that is surface, you will find rivers. Rivers, when they come down, in all the areas that water is falling, it gets collected in that river and it flows on the top of the surface of the earth. So river, lakes, depressions on earth. What are lakes? Lakes are depressions on earth which get filled in by rainwater, or it can be filled up by a river also. Then that is also surface water. Well has underground water, but where did that underground water come from? Of course, rain dropped on the surface, it got shipped inside the earth and got collected and came up somewhere else, that is a well. So they are considered as secondary. All these secondary sources exist due to rainfall. Whether it is river, lake and stream, that is also secondary. Underground water, that is also secondary. That means secondary sources of water are dependent on primary source of rain, source of water on earth, that is rain. Now surface water. Surface water, the water, this is the definition, the water found on the surface of the earth in form of river, lake, pond, sea, stream, all of them, they are called surface water. Here, surface water, we have sea also. It is salt water or saline water. So whether we are talking about fresh water will be river, lake, pond, streams, they are all fresh water. Sea is saline water. So whether that any type of water, fresh water or saline water, whatever we can see on the surface of the earth, that's called surface water. Definition for groundwater: water which is located under the earth and must be pumped out of the ground after drilling a deep well is called groundwater. Groundwater gets seeped in when the rain falls. It falls on the surface of the earth, then slowly seepage happens and it seeps down under the ground. Then a flat, huge piece of rock will not allow water to penetrate through it, and water will keep on collecting over there, and slowly the water level will rise. That is called water table. Now, because it is under the ground, automatically it will not shoot up. So till the water, you have to reach the water table, right? So you can bore a hole, that is a bore well, or you dig up a huge round or a circular hole, big one, to reach that water table and even go below it, so that water will find a way upwards. But then also it cannot come up to the surface of the earth. You have to pump it out. So that is the meaning of groundwater. Groundwater, only that type of water which is located under the ground and has to be pumped out with some means and methods like pump or from a well, then that can be termed as groundwater. Groundwater, water which is located under the earth and must be pumped out of the ground after drilling a deep well is called groundwater. There is unlimited quantity of groundwater under the earth. This is quite important to note, because we cannot see. There is no way we can measure the underground water, right? So unlimited, because we cannot measure, that is why we say unlimited quantity of water. Because we drill a hole over here where I am standing, but you don't get water over there. You keep on digging 100 meter, you see 100 feet, 200 feet, you don't get water. But just 5 feet away from me, you drill a hole and you'll get lots of fresh water just at depth of 25 feet, 30 feet, 40 feet. That means water table is over there, but water table is not over here. Here is only rocks till you go to the bottom. So quantity of underground water is never known, because we cannot see it, and we do not have any means to know how much water is stored under the ground. Science does not have, even up till now, science does not have any means to measure the underground water, and that is why science says that underground water, we have an unknown quantity of underground water. Yes, we see a river, mathematics helps us, science helps us, right? This river is this much broad, this is the depth of water, this is the force of water, this river has this much water. Or we see a lake, we measure the circumference or the area, and we know volume, this much is the volume of water present in this lake, so that we can count, right? So underground water cannot be measured, counted, so unlimited quantity of water is available under the ground. Now, out of the three, that is rainwater, surface water, and underground water or groundwater, out of the three, groundwater has a very important place in the source of water, because everywhere in the world, it's not only India, everywhere, wherever you go in the world, जब बारिश चाहिए तब होती नहीं है, right? So uncertain anywhere we go, and irregular. हर साल 1 जून को ही आ जाएगा केरला में बारिश, बोलते इतने साल से है. Very few times it has happened that the rain started on 1st. It is either 5 days early or 5 days late. So irregular, uncertainty, that means this area needs 100 centimeter rainfall, sometimes it will have 150 centimeter, or sometimes it will have only 50 centimeter rainfall. So uncertain and irregular. So rain is uncertain and irregular. Same with surface water. It comes out from the mountains. Now if we take the example of the Himalayan mountains, because they are snow fed, the rivers coming out of, they are snow fed, so they will have huge volume of water, but there also it's unknown, right? What will be the exact water that we'll be getting, how far it can reach. Rivers dry up, lakes dry up, dams, their water volume goes down. So surface water also we cannot predict, but a very rich source of water is available under the ground. It is always there. So the lower strata of the earth containing rock and soil absorb the water and create groundwater source. This we just explained. The lower strata, that means it will grow in the slopey, even the water gets collected where there is the slopey area, so it will drain, and then it will remain stagnant at one area because it's quite low. Then water starts going under the ground and water gets collected under the ground. So the lower strata of earth containing rock and soil, they absorb the water and create a groundwater resource. Northern plain of India have about 42% of groundwater. This is quite important. Northern plains of India, they have about 42% of groundwater. Why? Because the northern plains, they are fed by the Himalayan rivers which come down from Himalaya, because they are snow-fed rivers. That is why they have plenty of water all around the year, and most of these, they are perennial rivers. They never become dry. Volume becomes lower a little bit during off seasons, not during summer, because at that time snow melts and increases the volume of water in the river. Winter season, that is the season when snow becomes solid and less snow melts and goes into the river. So winter season is where volume of water may go down a little bit, but they will be perennial. That means they will be having lots of water all around the year. So the northern plains, when these rivers are full with water, the neighboring areas, their water table will have sufficient water under the ground. That is what we are talking. Water table is always under the ground. So when these rivers are always full with water, the adjoining areas will have lots of continuous underground water, and water will be pumped out for agriculture purpose, industrial purpose, domestic use, in our houses. So water gets continuously pumped out, and from those rivers the water under the ground continuously keeps on flowing. So 42% of groundwater, that's the highest that is available in northern plains of India. Southern India has more of mountains and plateaus, and it contains less groundwater. Now this is something to understand. Now what happens is, the southern India, that is a peninsula. This is southern India, it is peninsula, but this peninsula is also a little bit raised up. It's a plateau, the Deccan Plateau. Yes, it's a peninsula also, and it's a raised up area of land. That means it's a plateau also. Now if it is a plateau, that means lots of rocks will be over because land has come up from over here, from the bottom land has come up over here, right? So what happens is you have lots of rocks over here, so water storage is not possible. So there is less groundwater in southern area, and this is the primary reason why in southern India agriculture cannot be done using underground water. The added advantage that they have, southern India has more of mountains, western Ghats, eastern Ghats, plus whole of that land is raised up. So more of mountains, more of rocks where water cannot seep inside and get stored. So they have more of surface water. That means they have lots of depressions where there are lots of lakes and ponds and over there, and rivers, western Ghat rivers flowing over there. So they do not have too much of groundwater compared to the northern plains, so they'll contain lesser groundwater. The biggest use of groundwater is in irrigation. The maximum use, even more than industrial purpose, more groundwater is used for irrigation purpose. So the maximum use all over the world is primarily, basically, for the purpose of irrigation to the agricultural crops that we grow, because we pump out huge amount of water from under the ground and give it to the fields for growing food. So the biggest use of groundwater is in irrigation. Now water resources and their uses. The first, that means now we have learned the water resources, right? Now what are the uses? One of the first use is irrigation. This we have studied in many of the chapters, that India is an agrarian country. About 60% of the workforce of India works in the sector of agriculture, the primary sector. About 84% of water in India is used for irrigation. Now, what is this 84% of water? If each and every purpose of water that is used, if we combine all the uses together, that makes 100%. Whether we drink one glass of water, whether we give one glass of water to a plant, or whether one glass of water is used for domestic purpose or for industrial purpose, for whatever purpose water is used in India, if all of that is combined as 100%, then out of that 84% of water in India is used by irrigation. That means agriculture sector has the maximum use of water. Agriculture activities need a lot of water. Now plants, they need to grow, and whenever you are growing, yes, you need lots of nutrients, you need lots of water. So example is given, about 1500 liters of water is required to produce 1 kg of wheat. In order to grow 1 kg of wheat, you need 1500 liters of water. I suppose in each of our homes we have some 100 kg or more wheat stored for the complete year. Then this is simply 1500 liters multiplied by 100 kg. That much amount of water was required for the wheat that you have stored at home. Apart from that, you use rice, you need vegetables, you need lots of condiments, spices, vegetables, fruits. So we can imagine the amount of water that is used in growing all these commodities of agriculture. Paddy, jute, sugarcane require even more water. Paddy field, we know the paddy should be submerged in water for a long time till they grow and come out of the water. Till that time, the field has to be submerged, full with water, filled with water. Paddy. Next is jute. Jute grows only in areas of the Sundarban Delta where not only fresh water of the river plus the rich alluvial soil, the silt that is deposited, it needs that rich nutrients also, plus sugarcane. Sugarcane is juicy. Now where does that juice come from? Because that sugarcane crop, it requires lots and lots of water, even more than 1500 liters of water for sugarcane. We can't say kg, but then paddy and jute, they come in kg. In India, water is being used for irrigation since ancient times, that we know. Without water or without giving water to the plants, you cannot have crop. Now, to fulfill the irrigational needs, the famous Grand Anicut Canal was constructed across the river Kaveri in 2nd century. Seeing the need of the people, the kings also fulfilled their duties by making a canal named Anicut Canal in 2nd century on the river Kaveri. This canal was so that from Kaveri river, what is a canal? Canal leads water from one place A to place B. This is artificially made, and you have to give it a path so that water from A goes to water destination B, and that is, you have to create a gentle slope so that water keeps on flowing, natural flow, right? So Great Anicut Canal was made in 2nd century on the across the river Kaveri. That means even at that time the kings or the emperors, they very well knew about the importance of water for irrigation purpose, because some areas they didn't just have water, so it was necessary to make this canal so that water can reach to far off areas, and that is what for the welfare of the people, and that is how people got prosperous, because the king helped them in making this Grand Anicut Canal. Next, one of the biggest canal that was made in India during the British period, that is 1882, the Eastern Yamuna Canal was constructed in Uttar Pradesh. There also the British government saw the need that people are getting harassed because water doesn't reach particular spots. So they made this Eastern Yamuna Canal on the river Yamuna, across the river Yamuna, so that the canal can facilitate people to give irrigation to their crop or give water to their crop. Now, what are the methods of irrigation? India irrigates its land through 3 ways: wells, tube wells, canals, ponds. Now, because rain doesn't happen throughout the year. Whenever rain comes naturally, at that time, it's okay, crops can grow. And if rain is regular, that means at correct time it should stop also, so that because now the plants have grown and it does not require rain, then the rain should stop also, right? Now rain doesn't work the way we want it to. So India irrigates its land in 3 ways. Mainly the farmers, they give irrigation to their crop, or they give water the crop in 3 ways. The first one is wells and tube wells. That is the most popular method. Second one is canals. Now this can happen because canals have to be constructed by the government. It cannot be made on an individual basis. So canals, wherever government have done this work, or wherever the requirement is there, because it needs taking up or buying up land from where the canal has to pass. Quite a complicated process it is. So canals goes to government, and ponds. Ponds, small depressions inside a farm where water can be stored. It can be dug up artificially also, but that can be done where lots of rain happens, and instead of taking out or drawing out water from well, instead motor is set up near the pond, and with the help of that pump, water can be drawn from the pond to the field. It will be drained up, again rain will come, fill up, then again continues. So rain should be continuous. In those places we can use ponds as a very suitable method for growing crops. Out of these, very important, wells and tube wells. They are the first source of irrigation. Wherever you go, well is a permanent spot where you can get underground water. So wells are dug up because wells are dug up where water level is quite near to the surface, say 30-40 feet, maximum 20 feet, 25 feet, water is available. At those places, wells are dug so that even if you throw a bucket with a rope tied to it, it will be just hardly 10, 15, 20 feet, and you can draw water with the help of bucket for quenching your thirst. So that much deep depth is okay for that. So wells and tube wells are the first source of irrigation. Maximum usage of underground water by the farmers is done with the help of wells and tube wells. Now this all knowledge happens because of the surveys taken from time to time all over India, that what is the maximum use, which method do the farmers use for irrigating water to the crop. Canals are the second source. Wherever canal water, for example Punjab, it's a very strong network of rivers plus canals coming out of the rivers, so that each and every place there are lots and lots, hundreds and thousands of canals in Punjab and Haryana, so that maximum canal water can be used, because the Himalayan rivers coming out of it, canals are straight away taken from it, and throughout the year water is available. There is no time in the entire year that canal water has to be stopped. It has to be stopped by the government for cleaning purpose, so that the silt which settles down, because directly it has been taken from the river, so river may say silt aata and it settles on the bottom of the canal, so it has to be stopped, and that silt has to be removed, spread in the nearby fields, so it is very beneficial to the fields also. Apart from that, so wherever canal network is very fitting, those canals are used. That's the second most popular methods of irrigation. Last comes the ponds, as we just discussed. Ponds are available, say West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Kerala. These are the places where heavy rainfall keeps on occurring, and so ponds are very, very useful over there. Rather than canal or even wells and tube wells, these ponds are more popular methods of irrigation. Wells and tube wells, they are quite common in alluvial plains. Alluvial plains will be those plains where rivers are flowing and deposit their silt on the sides. Then only alluvial soil will be available. Now where rivers are flowing with lots of water, the nearby areas will have water table at quite a nearness with the surface, so the water table will be quite high near the surface of the land. So as we discussed, within 10 to 15 or 20 feet you will have water if you dig up a well. So that's a very common method. River is far away, but if you dig a well, water is quite available near the surface and you can easily get lots of water. Canal irrigation is practiced in vast plains of Satluj, as he says, the 5 tributaries of Indus River, that is Satluj, Bias, Ravi, Chenab and Jhelum. These 5 rivers that pass through India and then go into Pakistan. But before they go, we have huge broad network of canals, so that we can irrigate maximum fields with the help of these canals. Then Ganga and Yamuna, a very beautiful tributary based area where lots of tributaries, they go and meet the river Ganga and meet many of these rivers, they meet river Yamuna also. So from these rivers we can draw out canals, and we can lead these canals to those far off areas, interior part of where water is not available much. So these areas which are quite dry, they can be given water for irrigational purpose to the agriculture because of the strong network of canals. That means Satluj, Ganga, Yamuna, and also in the delta areas of the southern rivers, that is 4 rivers, Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri rivers, they have a very strong network of canal also. So in these southern places, maximum use of these 4 rivers, the tributaries that dump the water into these main four rivers, plus lots of canals coming out of the tributaries, out of the main rivers. They help the agriculture in the southern part of our country. Irrigation by ponds is practiced more in the eastern and southern states. Now these seven sister states, that is the northeastern states, for example, if I take Meghalaya, we know has rainfall above 400 centimeters per annum. Yes, that means out of 365 days, you will have hardly 15 to 20 days that are dry. Otherwise, rain will be continuously falling in these areas. So, these areas, they do not require any tube well, they do not require any bore well, they do not require any canals, because most of these areas, they are hilly areas and where canals cannot be dug up. So they make maximum use of ponds. छोटा सा pond farm के अंदर ही बनाया, बारिश आता है, भर जाता है, you pump out the water, give it to the plants when they require, again rain will come, fill up. So ponds are used maximum in the eastern part of the country and the southern part of the country, where there is heavy rainfall, more requirement of water for irrigational purpose. They use less of wells, tube wells, but they use more of ponds, etc. Agriculture in South India is done through ponds. Southern India has more of mountains and plateaus, that we already understood, and hence it contains less groundwater. So water crisis is a very serious problem in the interior area of southern peninsula of India. Now we have learnt previous year 9th standard that rain enters over here. We're here, this is the month, May, June, July, rain. Right, so June, rain comes to Kerala first in our country and then spreads to the rest of the parts of India. Same way it goes from here also, here also. So they give lots of rain to the coastal areas, but this southern central part unfortunately has less rain. So this part particularly has to be given water with the help of canals, because otherwise this will remain a dry area where rain यहाँ से भी नहीं आता, यहाँ से भी नहीं आता, or you do not have any network of canals. Then it will become very difficult for people to live over here, because scarcity of water will be felt in these areas. So water crisis is a very serious issue in the interior area of southern peninsula plateau. Hence agricultural land of southern India is irrigated with the help of ponds. So ponds are there, whenever rain comes, gets collected in the pond, and because groundwater, underground mountainous parts, etc., so you cannot have wells and tube wells over there because of rock. Even if you try to have a well, water will be available at quite the depth, because most of the water is available on the surface area. So agricultural land of southern India is irrigated with the help of ponds. So students, will stop over here for the day. Thank you, students.